today what I want to do is conduct the overview what we did yesterday. Then today we are going to look at how we because now we know that SAP is installed. We know how the profiles are there, what comes with SAP, like the clients and the standard users, etc. But now today we will learn about how SAP started on Windows environment, stopped on Windows environment, started on Linux or Unix environment, and stopping of it. Okay. So, and then we'll see how to access these particular services to shut down and start the servers, and what is the sequence followed for starting and stopping the particular servers. Okay, so yesterday's this thing we'll just run through. This is today. Okay, base is over. Yeah. Yesterday we saw that SAP delivers standard clients and standard users. Okay, so these are the standard users which are delivered by SAP. These have got standard passwords, so which come with default password. It is these passwords are available on the internet really. So, and these users, since they are very critical, you need to change them, the passwords. Okay. Then coming to the different profiles. One is a default, another is start, and the third is the instance profile. So default profile, whatever parameters are there in the default profile get applied across all the servers which are connected to a SAP system. Recently, what SAP has done is it has combined both start and instance into an instance profile. So earlier we had a start profile and instance profile separately. Now they have put it into instance. So instance, as it says, instance is instance specific, because each server is having different capabilities, different memory, different disk space, etc. So depending on that, you can configure the instance profile parameters. This is done through RZ10, RZ11. RZ11 gives you the dependencies, like you can see now, Dinesh. Yeah. So, like what I said, SAP delivers standard clients and standard users. So you have to take care of, because they come with standard default passwords. So as an administrator, once the system is installed, you should change these passwords, because the passwords for these users are readily available on the internet. So anyone can log in and then misuse the system. So you have to protect your system by changing the passwords. Then coming to the different profile parameters. One is the default profile. The default profile consists of all the parameters which will be applicable across all SAP, across all the SAP system which are connected. So basically, I gave you an example of the password policy. So no matter from which server you log in, the password policy should be standard across the systems. So you can put your password policy parameters in the default profile. Then you have got your instance profile. Instance is, again, as I said, it is specific to an instance. Depends on your the memory of the server, the disk space, and so on. So that is instance profile. These parameters are available. You can modify them using RZ10, and you can review each parameter using RZ11. Okay. So if you would like to, basically insert a particular parameter, you can check up the details in RZ11. There could be dependencies of one parameter with the other. So you have to take care of that also, the dependency. Suppose you are updating a parameter, then you also need to update the dependent parameters in the system. Once the SAP system is installed, the first thing that the administrator has to do is import all these profiles, because during installation, these profile parameters or the default profiles get created. Because like I said, when the installation takes place, the system asks you for the system ID and the host name. Okay, these are host name is picked up automatically, but the system ID or the instance number. It gets it is interactive, and you have to decide what should be the number, instance number, or the SID. So depending on that, these are created at the operating system level, which you need to import it into the SAP system so that it becomes easy for you to maintain. Okay, so that's what we saw yesterday. Then we saw how these profiles can be maintained. One is the administrative data, the, which is here actually you don't need to change anything, because this is like here it says automatically generated. So, and this particular path, like I said, user SAP test profile, this doesn't change. Okay, unless you want to keep it elsewhere, but no one changes that. So this is the standard maintenance. Then this is basic maintenance. Here you can see that you can change the dialog work process, update, enqueue, and so on. So this is a bit easier one, and anyone with some knowledge of changing the profile, the basic parameters you can change from here. If you want to go into the advanced maintenance, then there is something called extended maintenance of the profiles, where you can make those changes. So one is basic, another is extended. Then there are different types of directories. These are common across the Windows platform as well as the Unix platforms. Okay. Some of the directories will be different, like ASCS, ERS. This will depend on the whether you're configuring a cluster and so on. Okay. But you need to know that these are the profiles. These are the directories wherein you need to look for. For example, here, if you want to analyze some logs, then you need to look into this particular directory log file. Okay. Or if you want to look at some profiles, you need to log on to the system and check in this particular directory profile. Okay. EXE is for the kernel. Work is for all the work processes. Logs are created here. Okay, like that. So that's why you need to know all these directories. So I've just written down which are the important directories. You need not memorize everything, because once you log into the system, you have access to all these directories. Only thing is, with experience, you'll come to know where to access, which system to access, which directory to access. Okay. This host agent, as I said, this is for collecting the operating system level data. This is an independent program which you need to start it on the operating system. This is the standard file structure for the Oracle file system. When Oracle database is installed, it creates all these directories, or these directories should be created first, and then only you can install the Oracle. This particular directory ORARC is for offline archive logs, and mir logs and orlog, this is for the online redo logs. Backup, whatever backup you are taking of the database, which is important on a daily basis. So it gets the log files get created in this SAP backup directory. Same thing again. Then we saw how patching is done, because as I said, you will be doing installation with the media, but by the time the media reaches us, there could be modifications in your Oracle. So what they do is the bundle patches or single patches are available in the marketplace, which you can apply to make it up to date, so that you will have less errors when the system goes live. So what you need to do is, once your entire system is installed, you need to also install the patches to the Oracle. So either it could be single patch, mostly it is a bundle patch. There's something called a bundle patch also, wherein you have got a collection of single patches, and then you can apply them. So this is a simple method where you can you have to give the location of the patch where it is located, and then it will look at the present level and then apply the patches. And the patches are in a sequence. Suppose the earlier patch is not applied, then the next patch cannot be applied. So it takes care of it. Once you run this opatch program, then it takes care of it. So patching of Oracle is important. Similarly, the kernel, you log in into the system, and if when you run the transaction code SM51, it will show you the server which is running. And then there is a button called release notes. So if you click on that release notes, then it will show you what is the which SAP kernel is running on this system and what is the patch level. Like we patched our Oracle system. Similarly, at the time of installation, you may be having a kernel which is of a lower patch level. So you need to upgrade this patch kernel patch as well. So this is from within SAP. You can check what is the patch number, and this is within your SAP system, the OS level. How you can check the patch number. For example, if you have to run display plus work, then you will get this patch number here. So once this is done, then you have to log on to the SAP marketplace. Marketplace is nothing but the support portal. Here it is there. Only thing is for this you need to you will have ID and a password, and you can go to this particular link support. There are many areas where you need to search for the software. It could be patches, it could be database, it could be your actual installation, and again it depends on what kind you have taken license for, what kind of operating systems. Okay, so depending on that, you will download for specific to kernel. You will require SAP exe.sar specific to your OS and database. Okay, again you will download SAP exe DB. See, this DB, again, it will depend on which database you are running, either Oracle or SQL or MS SQL or whatever. So depending on that, you will have to download that. Once these two are downloaded, what you need to do is you need to uncompress them into a particular directory. You can copy them into a particular directory, and there is a program called SAP car. SAP car is a utility provided by SAP, which allows you to uncar or uncompress the kernel files which you downloaded from the marketplace. And once that is done, it is always safe to copy the existing kernel and keep it into another directory, so that in case this new kernel doesn't work, then you can always replace your old kernel and keep running the system. Okay. So what you need to do is copy the existing kernel into another directory, copy the new kernel from which you have uncompressed, and then move it to SAP MNT SID exe. After that, you can just check whether the version has been upgraded, the patch level has been upgraded by running this program. Then you will find that it is upgraded. Then you can you have to log on to the. Now I'm giving an example of a Linux system or a Unix system where you log in as root and then you run this saproot.sh. In case of Windows, it will be saproot.bat, some batch file. Okay. So that you have to do it, and once that is done, you start SAP, and then within SAP you run the transaction code SM51 like we saw in the top, and then check whether it is all okay. Okay, now let's start with today's session. Okay, Dinesh, any questions you have? No. Okay. So let's start with now your system is installed. When you install a SAP system, what happens is by default it starts. Okay. But I am taking a session where the system you have already stopped it and you want to start it. So in a Windows environment, what you need to do is you need to log in as SID ADM. So SID is the system ID which you have defined uh, when you created the system. Okay. So when the installation takes place, at that time, what happens is At that time, what happens is you are giving the SID and the instance number. Okay. So what happens is there are two users are created. The operating system level. One is ADM, and another is for, let us say, for Oracle for a SID, like that. So these two users are automatically created when you are doing a installation. So what you need to do is when you are logging in into the Windows server, you log in as SAP ADM. There is something called a SAP Management Console. Okay, you will find a icon, a shortcut on the desktop itself, where it says that it's a SAP Management Console, and it has got options to start and stop the system. So this is management console where, let us say, if you are running multiple SAP systems, then you will get all the SAP systems under this. Okay, so this is basically what you need to do is you need to select that particular SAP system, and then you click on action and then say start. So this is just a timeout period. Within that time, it should start the system. Okay, so you that is very easy. So you click the SAP system which you want to start. Then right click on it, and then you'll get an option of action where you need to start. A pop-up will be coming up, because see, anyone who has got access to a Windows system should not start or stop the system, because there could be a lot of people who are working on the system. This could be your production system, or this could be your test system or training system, you know. So only the SAP basis administrator who has got the uh, password access. So what it does is it authenticates while you're starting the system, and as well as when you're shutting down the system. So even if someone has got access to your Windows system, he should not be able to start or stop your system. Okay. So you will have a small number of people who will be accessing this system, right? There is a lot of control over starting and stopping of SAP system, because it is very critical. So here you will find that, okay, now it has been started. So now here, if you note, this is in gray color. Here everything is in gray. So once it starts, you will find that they start becoming green. So here you will find that the process list is becoming green once. Okay. So now these are the different processes which are there. The message server, the dispatcher. Now it is yellow. After some time it will become green. You know. So like that. So this is for starting the Windows system. Here you will find in more details. Here, if you, let us say, your system is not starting and you need to view the logs, so you can select the system. You can go to view and then view the logs. So they call it the dispatcher logs. You know. So whatever the errors are there, those are available in those logs. Now on the right hand side, you will find that these are the work processes which are shown here. Okay, this is the management console where it shows the different work processes starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you got about 16 work processes, and you got about 10 dialog work processes, one update, 11, one NQ. There are 3 background processes, one spool, and this is again update UPD1 and UPD2. So these two are there, and here you will note that there is a process ID. Now same thing is available when you run SM50 in the when you log into this server. You will find the same thing mapped there. So this is at the OS level, and what you see at in the SAP when you run transaction code SM50, that is the same thing is available there. Same status now. Since the system is just starting, the all the status is showing as a run. Otherwise, it will be in the wait status. Okay. Another thing is, let us say for a particular dialog work process, if let us say it is taking too much of time, someone has fired a program which is taking, say, more than 2 hours or 3 hours, then you can select from here and kill that particular session. You can also do that in when you have logged in into the SAP system. From there also you can do the killing. But in case from there also it doesn't get killed, you can come at the OS level and do the killing. Okay. So here you will find, it shows current status, open alert, syslog. Syslog is a systems log. Queue statistics, whatever has been queued. Okay. Now this is the ABAP table which is shown. Then ICM is Internet Communications Manager. So here, whatever is you can see requests of the browser connections, basically HTTP and HTTPS connections. So that is what is displayed here. So basically, you want to troubleshoot, then you need to come here and then do that. Again, if you want to shut down the SAP system in the Windows environment, what you need to do is again log in as SID ADM, select the SAP management control, and then again you will have to select. Now you will find that these servers are running. Now you want to stop them. So here you could have number of SAP systems on this particular server. You will select that SAP system and then just right click on it. Then you can say stop. Okay. Again, while stopping also, it will ask you for a password. But here again, there is an option where it will ask you whether you want to do a hard stop or a soft stop. Hard stop is basically it will immediately shut down the system. So a soft stop is it will nicely shut down the system. Okay, so this option is there. After that, again, it will ask you for authentication, because as I said, no one should shut down the system as and when he feels. So that authentication is required, because then you are aware, that I'm shutting down this system. Okay. So this is again authentication. So once the system is shut down, you will find that all the systems have been grayed out. That means your system is down. Here you have to note that when you are shutting down the system here, it also shuts down the database at the backend. Okay, you don't have to separately shut down the database. Okay, there is a difference here between SAP Windows and Linux systems. Also, you can. There is a process of shutting down the database separately. That we'll see it how that is done. Now let's have a look at how you access the Linux systems. On Windows, because Windows, many people are familiar, so and it is very easy to manage in Windows. But in Linux, you have to remember that either you have to use a utility called telnet or putty to access your Unix or Linux servers. Okay, so this is putty. Just the first screen. It's a free software which you can download, and then you need to give the connection details. The IP address, etc. Whether you want to have a secured connection or so on. So all these are there. So once that is done, you can save it here in the settings, and then using this putty you can connect it. Then it will ask you in Linux or Unix system, it will always ask you for a user ID like in Windows, but it is not so user friendly as such. But you will get used to it once you start using more often. So either through telnet or through putty, you can access your Unix servers. So you will get a prompt for logging on into the SAP server. And again, here there are two users which are created, as I said. Again, on whether it is Linux or Windows, these two users are created when it is SAP is installed. So you will log in as SID ADM into the Unix system. And then, for example, now this I have taken a screenshot from the internet, which shows that, okay, in this case, DEM is the SID which is given, which is for SID. So the person has logged in. Then once he logs in, he gets a prompt like this, DEM, ADM. Okay. Then prior to that, I would like to tell you that uh, what is a listener in Oracle, because what we are going to do is in the next step, we are going to start the database first. See, there is you need to follow a certain sequence when you are starting the systems in SAP. For example, if you are starting a system, then first you need to start the database. Okay, because ultimately all your applications are going to connect to your database, and from database information will be sent back to the users. So your first priority when you are starting the SAP, then you need to first start the database. So I'm taking an example of Oracle where you need to start the listener first. Listener is a program which is used for connecting your clients to the database. Okay, so once that is the connection is established to the listener, then the client gets access to the database, and once that is done, then the client directly connects to the database. Okay, but for the first time, it has to go through the listener. Okay, so this is what is uh, displayed here. So a client will connect to a listener, then the listener will send the connection to the database. Then the database knows who is the client. So later on, then the client directly accesses the database like that, whether it is from the web browser or from the client. Okay. So in this case, what we will be doing is we will be starting the database. Okay. I'm saying start SAP DB, but here you will find that we have got an error. Database is not available, it says, via R3 trans. R3 trans is a backend program which it runs to check whether the database is running. Okay. So whenever you are starting a database, then it checks whether the list. Now here it says the listener is. Please check the listener status. Okay. So this is a command to check. So they have given this how you can check. So in the above case, listener is not running. So we will check what is see now here the command you will have to log in as because you're running an Oracle command. You have to change the user to the Oracle user. So here the command is su ora did. Did is database ID. Like I said, you can have a separate SAP system ID and a separate database ID. So that is the scenario which is here. So SU means switch user to Aura DID. So now what he has done is now he has switched user to a Oracle user ID, and from there now he is going to check the listener status. Okay. So the listener status you can just give the command lsnrctl listener controller. What is the status? So it will show okay these are the errors. So with this you know that okay the listener has not yet been started. So what you need to do is then start the listener. So what you can do is lsnrctl start. So this way you will be starting the listener. So that means once your listener is started, then the clients are able to connect to the database. Okay. Now we'll go back to the situation where we will start the database. Okay. Here you will find that the database is now started. Once you give this command, so once your database is started, then you can start your applications. Okay. To start the applications, the command is very easy. You will just say start SAP R3. Okay. So the instance on this server will start. So this start SAP R3. Start SAP is basically a shell script on a Unix system, which starts it runs the particular script, and then it starts the instance. So if you are here, you will find that after each this thing, it will say that it has successfully completed, etc. And it will also show you which are the logs which you need to check in case you get error here in ASCS. Then you need to check this starts app ASCS01.log. Or if you're getting error in this particular area, So you need to look for this log in this directory, home/dm/adm starts app. Okay, like that. So you will now here, as it says that the system has been started successfully. So once this is started, then you can use your SAP GUI and log on to this system and connect, and then check whether everything is fine. Okay. So this is for starting the R3, like we saw start SAP R3. If it is a J2E system, then you can, instead of R3, you have to just give J2E. So Java system is there and Java will start. Okay. If you want to start, let us say on this Unix system, if you have got say 2, 3, 4 instances, and you want to start a particular instance, then you can give start SAP R3 and -I an instance number. So it will start that specific instance. Okay. Like I said, there has to be a sequence which you need to follow when you are starting instances. Like for example, we'll take this simple example. If you try to start the dialog instance first, okay, it will not start at all because it connects to the central instance. Okay, the central instance will not start if your ASCS has not started, and your ASCS will not start because your database is not started. So you have to follow this sequence only: database first, ASCS, then central, and then dialog. Same in the Java system, and same in the uh, dual stack ABAP and Java system. Okay, and it will be reversed when you are shutting down. Okay, so while shutting down, you will have to shut down the dialog servers first. Let us say you have got 5, 6 dialog servers, so you will shut down all those first, then your central instance, then your ASCS, and then your database, and then you can hand it over to the infra team if they want to do some maintenance or something. So many times, with my experience, I can tell you what happens is there is a downtime which is scheduled, but due to pressure or something, what happens is sometimes you will shut down the database first only. Then it can create a problem. So you have to follow the. You should basically have a document ready whenever you are doing some downtime activity. You know what you are going to do today, etc. So accordingly, you can plan it. So the sequence is important. Now let's see how we stop the Linux servers. The stop SAP, like start SAP is there. You'll be using just stop SAP R3. Here is the command is stop SAP R3. So now he is shutting down stop is on the servers. Here you will find that this particular screenshot I've taken because now it is immediately disconnected from the SAP GUI. As soon as you say stop SAP R3, it is going to stop the all connection. All people who have connected will get this kind of a message that it has got shut down. So this is the entire screenshot where all the resources are getting cleaned up and shutting down. Okay. Then this is the command stop SAP DB. So wherein you will stop the database, and then once this is done, you will need to also stop the listener because we had started the listener, huh? So we have to stop the listener also, because what happens, sometimes when you are handing over the system to your infra team for some maintenance activity or something, you will find that they will say that okay, some process is still running, so they will not shut it down. So you need to shut down the listener as well. Otherwise, what will happen is there will be lot of to and fro. That we want to. There is some problem. They're not able to shut down the system, or some systems don't shut down in case some processes are running. Okay. Now, sequence to be followed to stop the SAP instance. Like I said, it is in the reverse way. Like you will first shut down the dialog, then the central, then the ASCS, and then the database. And after database includes the listener also. So you will, without forgetting, you'll have to stop the listener as well. Okay. Again, it's in the same reverse order. Okay. So this is this is for today. So any would like to have any questions? Dinesh? Hello.
Sir.
Hi, yeah. Hello. 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 Dinesh?
Sir, did you call me?
Yeah. Any questions you have?
No, sir. I'm
Okay.
good.
What we'll do is we have got access to one of the systems. So we will access that, and what we did a few days back now, we will see some of the commands we will execute and see. Dinesh? Hello, Dinesh?
Sir.
You're able to hear, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, now what we have done is we have got a demo system. Okay. We are
Okay.
accessing that. So here, see, this is the SAP logon pad. This is called the SAP GUI. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. This is the SAP GUI. So when you double click on this, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is 770. Okay. This is the latest SAP GUI. Then you will get all those entries here, wherever, whichever system you want to enter. So let us click on this. So here now they have given us access to, say, client 800. Okay. So this way you will be logging on into the system. Whatever ID is given to you and password, you will log on. Okay. So here now this is the entire SAP system. Whatever is installed looks like this. Okay. So you have a main menu here. Then you have got the SAP menu here, and there is something called a user menu. This is the guy you can see here. Now is a user menu. This is a SAP menu. So standard menu is there. Okay, and these are the favorites which uh, you can store them as favorites. And these are the different modules, logistics. Then under this you'll have a lot of modules which are there. So accounting. So these are different modules, HR and so on. But what we'll do is whatever we started off, we will have a look at that first, and then we can always come back here. So like we said, we have seen now what is the SAP GUI, how we log on into the system. So now we were successful in logging on to the system. So what we were earlier discussing was what is installed in the system, what is the host name of the system, and so on. So you will go to system. There are many options available here, but what we would like to know, what is the system status. So we click on system and status. So once you click on that, it will show you everything. Like we saw it the other day in the document which I had. So it will show you in which client you are logged in, what is your user ID, when did you log in last, okay, and when you are logged in now, what is the time zone, etc. Then you got this SAP data. Uh, then you got host data on which operating system it is running. Okay, the machine type, what is the server name? Okay, so here you'll find that Y01 is their SID. Okay, then what is the database system? They're running on MS SQL. What is the release? Okay, the name, the host. So all these details are available here. This is the installation number which is there. Then this is the installation type, Unicode, etc. Then we were looking at in detail. When you click on this see details, if you click on this magnifying glass, it will show you which are the SAP basis for all the software components which are installed on this system. The other day we saw it. So you can scroll down like this. There are many components which are stored, which are installed, and depending on the requirement, you will have to uh, either upgrade them or you patch them, etc. Okay, so many software components are there. Okay, see what happens is your SAP basis and ABAP. If you are going to upgrade anything here, then the rest of the components will also get upgraded, because ultimately everything is the entire source code of this is written in ABAP. So, so that you have to remember that basis and ABAP, these two components, if you are modifying, there is a 99% dependency that you will have to upgrade the other components as well. Okay. Now we'll see what are the installed product versions. So these are the different product versions which they have installed in the system. Okay, GRC risk system, they have got GRC also installed on this. Then you have got a ECM, and I think this is engineering change management. Then you got project management and so on. So you could also have Fiori or something. Some mobile applications are installed. So let's go down and see if CRM is installed. So here you will come to know what products have been installed on this system. Okay. So I don't see Fiori installed on this. So they don't have Fiori installed on this. Okay. So that's okay. So this way you can come to know what is the software which is installed on this. Then another thing what we have seen was the kernel status. Okay. So once you click on this particular key, so here it will display the kernel information. Okay. So here it will show you what is a kernel or what is a compilation, etc., etc. What is a present support pack level, and so on. So you will have to download a kernel which is of this release 742, and maybe after this 28 they have let us say released say up to say 51 support pack level. So you need to download that and then upgrade the kernel. Okay. Again, it shows the database, the IP addresses, and operating system, etc., etc. Okay. So this way you should be. This is the way you should find out the information about the system which is installed. So that is what we saw. Then other details is like, for example, if you click here, it will show you to which system you have logged in, which is the client you have logged in. So this is in short, the response time you have taken to run a particular program. Here you will find there's some entry called program, and there is another entry which shows a transaction. Okay, so it will show you which transactions you are using. If you click on this now, then it will show you it is displayed here like that. For example, if you want to click on say system, then it will show you which system. Okay, so these are all default settings which are there, which you can use. Okay. Then this particular area is called a command window, wherein you will enter all the commands. Okay, sometimes what happens is if you click here now, then you will wonder where is your command window. Okay, So you have to be, very observant in doing your, in basis. So if you click on this window opens. Many times by mistake it gets closed and you will wonder where it is. So this is a small this thing where you need to be aware of it. Now we were talking about transaction code SM50. Now SM51 will take it first. Okay. Now, for example, SM51. SM51 will show you all the servers which are running on this instance. Okay. So here it will show you that this particular server is active. Okay. So it shows this particular server is active. In case you have got a, let's say 5 or 7 servers and one of them is not active or shut down, it will show you in red, that server is shut down. So you need to investigate why it is down. Now, as we saw today, how do we check the kernel release? So you select the server because you could have number of servers. So you will select the server and then click on release nodes. So once you click on release node, it will give you all the information, which is the kernel which is used and what is the kernel patch level and so on. So all details are given here. Okay. So this is the patch text. These are the different nodes. You can refer those nodes when you are, if you are interested to know what has been changed, etc. So these are the changes which they have done. Okay, like that. So from here you will come to know what is the kernel level. Then we saw the transaction code called SM50. So SM50 will show you all the work processes. For example, it has started with 0. This is a dialog work process up to 9. So 10 work processes. Now here, since I'm connected to this particular dialog work process, it is showing that it is running. Okay. If you see this particular entry, it should be related to my login. Okay. See this user ID is ECC demo. So it is serving me. So that's why it is showing it is running. Okay. So similarly, there could be other users who will log on to the system. Then the status will be running. Okay. So this is a dialog. Then these are out of the total. So it is showing 10 dialogues. Update. This is just a summary. So you just by looking at this, you need not read here. Here, just by looking here, you will be able to tell how many dialog processes are there. On the total number of work processes, you can say there are 17. Okay, out of that, you can identify how much for update, how much for background and spool and so on. Okay, and these are the work processes. These are the process IDs which are there. In case your program goes on hold, then it comes here. In case there is some issue, then how much time it is taking, etc., CPU time, etc., that you can monitor from here. So this is in SM50. Now let us say if you click on this, only active processes. So you will find only one of them, which that means the one which I am using is only the active work processes are shown here. If you click on all work processes, it show all the work processes. So there are many facilities which are given within a particular transaction code. Okay. Then what we saw was there we were talking about novel load balancing. No? So this particular transaction code SMLG. See, SMLG is maintain logon groups. So in this, what happens is you can create an assignment. So you can have a logon group which is created and assign an instance. Say group 1, and here you will select this. You could have number of servers, like I said. Then you can have your attributes, some attribute, etc. But since it is a single server, it will just say okay. So what happens is now this logon group is created. Okay. So when you go to the SAP logon installation, if you want to install, let's try here whether it works or not. We don't know. It should work. Okay, we go to connection. Where is not able to see the okay. Let's see. Message server. What's the message server? Let's give this IP and check whether it works. No, it is not working. No. Otherwise, immediately it will not able to connect, I think. No, some issue. So this way, you can create different groups and assign all your instances. Then you could have multiple groups, and depending on that, it will take care of your log load balancing. Okay. So if you want to see what is the load, you can click on this. Then it will show you what is the load, response time, etc. And depending on this, you can decide which users to be given which groups. Okay. So from here you can monitor the logon load balancing. From here you can delete the groups or you can remove the instance. For example, you want to remove this instance from either you can delete this group or you can remove the instance from this group. So that is possible. That we saw. Will not save this. SMLG we saw. Then we were talking about the the profile parameters, right? So let's go to RZ10. Lowercase is also okay, and it works. So RZ10, let us pick up one profile. If they have imported it, it is there. For example, default. So default profile is there. You want to manage the administrative data, then you can click on this and manage this. Okay. So this is your default profile. If you want to manage that, then this is basic maintenance we saw. So if you want to do some basic maintenance in the default profile, that you can do it here. So whatever is displayed, only those things you can modify. And this is extended. Extended means like I said, you have got a parameter with you, and then using that, either you can insert it directly or make changes to this particular file directly in extended maintenance. Okay, so these are all the extended. You will find a lot of parameters here. Okay, so this is extended maintenance for default. Then let's have a look at this is Y0 now. MSGS is 14. There are two profiles here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's have a look at this administrative. Not much here. Then basic maintenance. If you want to make basic maintenance, then you can do it here. If you want to increase the dialogues and background processes and so on, so you can make the changes here. If you go to extended, then there are many parameters which are there, which you can go here and directly change it. Okay. Whether you can add, when you're going to change mode, then it will allow you to create a parameter or change a parameter. Okay. I'm just going into display because I don't want to make any changes here. Other transaction code which we saw was RZ11. Okay. So here you can give a particular parameter name. Okay. And then you can just check how it is to be how the values are to be given, etc. So let's have a look at star. Let me see. Let us go down. Let us see one of them. I'll take any one of them random. Okay. For example, GUI auto logout. See, what happens is this parameter is also important because you don't want someone to be logged in unnecessarily for a long time. So there is something called auto logout. After say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then they should be able to they should get disconnected. So here you will get the details of the parameter. So what is the default value, what is the current value, etc. All those details are available here. In case there is some dependency, even that is displayed here. So you can click on this, and there is something called documentation, display documentation. So you will get the documentation here. Okay. So which is application area, etc. Okay. Okay, see, this is the maximum idle time for a SAP GUI connection. Like I said, you can decide on that. Now there are no dependencies as such. See here, it will tell you the restrictions. Okay, who is permitted to make the changes? The customer can make the changes. If there are operating system restrictions, it will tell you here. Okay, at the operating system level, what you need to do, etc. Database system restrictions, etc. Other parameters affected or dependent. Like I was telling you about, dependency. So if you're going to make changes there, then you need to also take care of this particular parameter. Okay. So, and it will tell you what are the values allowed, etc. So if you take any of the parameters for checking, so let's have a look at one more. Let's have a look at whether this. Let's have a look at password policy parameter. For example, password length. Okay. So here it will tell you what should be the minimum password length and so on. So you could have 8, 10, whatever. Okay, this is the documentation which is available. So who is permitted to make the changes? Customer can make these changes. Any restrictions? But there are other dependent parameters. Why I wanted to show you this was, because it is going to affect. These are the dependent parameters. So while making any changes to the instance profiles, you need to check this documentation for each parameter. You could be changing one, but then it is affecting so many. Okay. So you have to take care of all these parameters. Because in organizations, people will say, okay, you insert this parameter, but then it is your responsibility to check the dependency. Okay, like that. So this is an example of RZ11, RZ10, We saw SMLG, we saw the SAP GUI, how you log in, we saw how the software component which are installed, we also saw what are the products installed, etc. If you have any questions, you can ask me.